Hello, tribe. Welcome. Let's dive into your archives. Holiest of spirits. What energy needs to come forward the most? From the Most High, Creator Source. From my ethereal, original collective. For the highest good, of course. You owe it to yourself to accept success. You've been able to mostly master your own stream of consciousness and realize you can also jump into other people's streams of infinite consciousness that all connect to a collective quantum mind, believe it or not. If you travel far into the astral, you can see it. I've seen it. It's quite extravagant. Maybe call it the motherboard or just a giant brain that calculates consciousness in streams and loops them back out to people through their thoughts. In that place, everything is connected. And that's the plane within the mental astral realms. Things are also connected in essence, like the essence of energy also connects all things. It fuels life into this quantum mind. My spirit guides were telling me to think about this. They're like, okay, what does this mean? Because I keep seeing this thing. It looks like it's made of some kind of advanced technology, and it looks like a giant brain in a way. And they're like, you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? And I was like, I don't know. Consciousness works like a computer. Computers mimic what consciousness does, so it could be natural. They're like, but it also could be showing you something unnatural if you think about it. Could be showing the source of the simulation. If you believe in the simulation, which I don't. Maybe it's a natural simulation. Maybe that's what consciousness does, regardless of any technology. Maybe it really is a natural technology that simulates reality based off our consciousness projecting into our environment. And it's all connected like a huge computer system, but it's organic, so it's nothing to fear. And it's advanced. But my spirit guides did say there's something about it that wards a little bit of caution. So the book talks about the Prince of Swords is to make us question single-mindedness and not to be too insensitive to others. I'm applying that to quantum streams of consciousness, and I'm letting you know that although you always have your own consciousness and you can pick and choose how you use it, there is a place where they connect, and where does it really come from is the big question. It seems like this mind that I saw just recycles consciousness and energy and recalculates it into higher forms and greater solutions, like a computer calculating outcomes, and it loops them back out to the collective, and it keeps on elevating and advancing them by recalculating and recycling old energy and old consciousness. So it seems like most things under the sun are not new. Most things in the mind are not new. They're just old ideas reformed. So to pull anything actually new into the system, us as creators have to create something out of nothing that can add to the quantum mind, that it can integrate and add to its formula and start sending out to everyone. But the only thing pulling in new thoughts is us. So we are independent of consciousness as well. That consciousness is like something like a mind that we can use as a tool. So what you would call the soul, or the thing that's holding you in place beyond your thoughts, your body beyond your thoughts, is a real thing. That is the thing that can pull something out of nothing, because you pulled your spark. Your soul is your spark from nothing to pull yourself into form. So you, as a creator aspect, That soul is your creator source aspect, your God aspect, okay? Truly in the highest form. That part of you can pull things out of nothing and add to the collective consciousness, and it can integrate what you pull in. And that's the only way. So basically, it's your connection to God and your soul that is creating something no one has ever seen before. It's not consciousness. Consciousness is just a tool to experience your creations. And it's a way to make your creation so intricate with so many different designs to it that you could dive into it and experience yourself inside of this environment, which is you inside of the quantum mind, inside of yourself and your own creation. So consciousness is allowing you to jump into your creation and experience it in front of you. Okay, that's what I'm seeing in my vision. That's try to explain as best as I possibly could. And the book also says that the princes remind us that overall the princes represent aspects of the mind with all its powers and weaknesses. So that might be something that we are that's definitely something we are contemplating right now. So the soul can exist independent of consciousness, okay? But it always uses consciousness as a way to travel through itself, through the network, all of it. So if it is a simulation, whether natural or whatever, maybe it's a natural simulation, basically you manifested this simulation, even if it is just for you to gain mastery over the mind. And the mind is an aspect of consciousness, okay? But consciousness is nothing without an energy source, which is soul energy, is source energy. And that's the part of you that animates your consciousness in your body. And that's the eternal part, and the consciousness is the infinite part, the layered part. And everything around us is an aspect of this network of consciousness that is separate but can become entangled and also connects to a central mind of some kind. That's what I've always seen. And if it is a simulation, you manifested it to gain mastery. That's what Spirit's saying. Let's pull more cards. So you did spark your soul into existence. And even by doing that, you're connected to the father and the mother of existence. Because basically, to be able to spark yourself, that's the father right there. It's the first light. And you're pulling yourself out of the womb of darkness. And light is born from the darkness. It's birthed out of darkness. And so you have an aspect of the creator, God and Goddess at the highest level connected to the source. But you had to will yourself into being and pull yourself into form. And that creative soul spark is the only thing that can alter consciousness. Without it, it would just act like a robot with no life. It would have no life but to calculate, but it has some kind of life. Just like the universe, it calculates, but it's something behind it, a greater intelligence, making sure that it calculates properly, benevolently. And so without the spark, we would just be robots. We would have nothing unique about us. We would all just be code in this machine. And that's all consciousness is. The thing that expands consciousness is the soul. And so without the soul, the consciousness can't expand. The mind can't expand. Without a connection, your soul directly linked to the source and to spirit, the mind cannot expand on its own. So when I talk about the mother and the father, the first spark, the seed in the womb, all of that stuff that I talk about that reflects into the real world. When I talk about it, I'm talking about before it has ever manifested. There was a first mother and father that all things were born from. Okay? It's a polar opposite force, but they're lovers. And it's not physical. But everybody they ever seeded within the womb had to fight their way through chaos to become realized into a form. And they built like intricate universes of their own to dive into. And then on Earth, everyone dove into a universe where all their universes are creating, co-creating, and coexisting in the same place. So every one of you built this creation for yourself in different ways, and you did dive into your own creation, even though it's inspired and connected to a creative mother and father. Okay? Spirit just keeps saying, in a way, depending on what dimension you exist in, all of you built this simulation or this video game for yourself. In realms beyond the physical, you spent a long time sculpting universes and stuff, and then you wanted to experience your own creation, so you did. And your creation is an extension of you. So you kind of are diving into an environment that is reflecting something inside of you, and you get to experience yourself in a really deep way. And because we're in a world where everyone's doing that together, you get to experience other people really deeply. It's like everyone's a universe unto themselves in my vision. So we have talked a lot about the creator archetype within all of us here. It's something about you expressing your soul. It expands your consciousness. That was a very clear answer from Spirit. And how this incarnation is actually the fruits of seeds you sown way before you ever took on a form. So Spirit is saying coming to Earth was getting out of your comfort zone for a lot of people, especially of you guys who are like on that God Goddess level of creative energy. You have universes out there waiting for you that are just yours, like you made it. And you took a little piece of that here, and you came to Earth for a purpose. You left behind like your own kingdoms that you've already mastered and lived in many forever and ever. You've lived in your mastery in your own universe, and Spirit shows me you taking a little piece of that universe and coming here on a mission. It's very uncomfortable for you, but you had to come here. Everyone got a big call across the whole cosmos to come to Earth. You come to this planet and you uplift it. You make people want to dance. You make people want to live again. Like actually feel like they have something to live for. That was lacking on this planet. So some of you came here just to bring the party. And literally through laughter and playfulness, this planet is set free. So they don't have to slave away all their lives. They just need to have fun. And you make people feel safe to be having fun out here. Like good old pure fun, okay? Don't ever throw me in a category with anyone with dirty minds, guys. I'm too grown. I'm too spiritual for that. But you guys release the inner child in so many people who have been bogged down and locked down by the matrix. And people might think it's this whole long process to set their souls free, but it's really quick with some of you. The way you unlock people and open them up to realize, life can be but a dream. Da 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 da. Life is but a dream. That's what I heard. Maybe you like older music. Yeah, you're on a level where you keep your energy sacred. We don't need any like messy energy around here or dirty energy. I rebuke it at every chance I get. But Spirit says, in the most sacred way, you do bring smexual healing. Like that song, Smexual Healing. That's what Spirit says about you. You could actually use that to manifest as well. The Queen of Wands can talk about visions, having vision. You could be channeling passionate energy into your visions and doing magic. It's actually very safe as long as it's not doing anything to harm anybody. Magic is usually pretty safe as long as you're not overusing it as well. You're definitely working with ascended fire. So be the creator, not the creation. Okay, more fire cards. You must be a fire sign, or you're dealing with one, or you really just like to play with fire. Okay, it's very likely, this is something I'm seeing, that your mind's eye is opening very rapidly. You may see these invisible networks that I talk about. So you can see like the different streams of energies that connect to the natural consciousness grid, and you can also see the artificial, like the one that connects to telephones and Wi-Fi. There's also like a Wi-Fi network that you can see when you can see through your mind's eye, and then you can see the organic network as well. And they kind of look similar, but the organic is so much more intricate and beautiful, like sacred geometry, not just like grid networks, okay? It's very beautiful. And you might be able to see both if you peer through your mind's eye. And what I'm saying, the best way to do that is like focus in between your eyebrows and just above your eyebrows and see what that eye sees. Sometimes people can like misplace where the mind's eye is. But if you focus in like right in between your eyebrows, it helps to clear the vision and make it easier to see. And there's another eyeball above the mind's eye that I call the spiritual eye, that's right in the center of the forehead. And sometimes you might see through that one. That one usually flashes visions from the ancients and stuff and from God, but the mind's eye will allow you to just basically peer through dimensions at any time. So I view that the spiritual eye is something that, my guides or my ancestors or whoever used to communicate with me. And it shows me all my visions. But the mind's eye, I'll use that to open up into the astral with more focus. So I guess like if you focus in on where it's at, it kind of is like looking through a telescope lens, and then you can widen it and you can see through dimensions more clearly. But I already think that you have activated both of them actually. So now you're just learning how to tune them and focus them, like focusing a camera lens. Spirit says you become more confident in these abilities and connections to spirit, your spirit guides, and you've been receiving their input more and more. We can, like I say, fine tune, pick and choose the way energy interacts with us. You can claim or reject, embrace or rebuke energy however you want to. It doesn't make you like weak or powerful. It just means that you're taking authority over the energy. So it doesn't mean you're afraid to rebuke something. You're just, when you speak something into creation out loud and bring it out of your head, it affects the energy more than just keeping it all bottled up inside. So really the point in claiming and speaking what you want helps direct the timelines, because it solidifies timelines more than just keeping it inside. And it's about picking and choosing your reality. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're running from something or to something. It's just the power of speaking it. It changes the whole situation. At least that's how I view it. See, this person we're talking about right now has been getting all this fire. They like to feel their way through situations. So Spirit is probably encouraging them to use the spoken word. They're like giving all these different ways to, I don't know, manifest differently. It's not that what you're doing is wrong. You could just add little fun things to your practice, like visualization, and spoken word. And like, you can speak over your life every day, and it'll solidify those feelings for you. When you just leave it all fluid like feelings, it can end up manifesting in weird ways. But if you claim what you want to see very clearly, the quantum mind's going to have to send that back to you in the highest form with the greatest favor possible. So I guess it just helps. It's not 100% necessary. Your internal world will still manifest. It'll just be more unpredictable if you keep it all inside. And speaking it is sometimes just speaking to your own self and God and your higher self. You know, lots of geniuses talk to themselves. Spirit wants to remind everyone that you can talk to God at any time about pretty much anything. God is a very personal God, and it wants to have a one-on-one connection with everyone. You don't always have to be in a perfect prayer, being super polite. Like, you can come to God as you are. Sure, be respectful, but you could literally have just a regular, like, best friend kind of conversation with God where there's no pressure. And I think that's more so what God wants. So every day, just if you need a friend, talk to God. And sometimes you're talking to your higher mind that's connecting to God, and it's recoding your consciousness to a higher timeline just by talking it out and working it out and listening to what God really has to say. And God will be clear. You know, that's where I get my wisdom from, is the Creator. I really think that you can lay in bed and talk to God before you go to sleep. That's what I do. Like, he's my best friend. I talked to him about how does he feel about divination. I was talking to my friend about this today, and we were looking, what does the Bible say about divination on Google? And it was saying the Bible doesn't like it unless it is through God or something like that. And I was like, well, I already knew that. Everything I do is in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, like, actually. And so I do think that in that way, God can work through it as long as you're not doing it in the name of anything else, really. And anything that comes through in the readings that isn't God is sent by God. So God is very loving, okay? The ultimate is, it's like the Father to all beings. And there's a mother there too. So they really want everyone to win, not just me or not just a couple people. And whoever it is you're in communication with, you know, God was telling me that, sure, use the cards like sparingly here and there. Just don't use it as a crutch, and it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I really don't need to pull 1,000,000 cards. I only need a couple of cards, and then I catch the channel. And it's of the highest godly good, so I know I'm in alignment in what I'm doing. But there's so many people who use divination in very wicked ways, and I think that's what God was warning against. But what we're doing is like perfectly benevolent, I swear. Or I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't feel so happy to be doing it for you guys. You know, I've been asking God, like, do you want me to get rid of the cards and crystals? Which would be really sad because I have a really big crystal collection, and I collect all kinds of different spiritual things, like, you know, statues or whatever. And God said, you know, collecting something is not the same as using it in witchcraft. So I'm not mad at your collection. I just want you to be careful how you use it. So he's being very flexible. He's not like you have to get rid of stuff. He's not doing anything to shame or like anything. He's really saying it's okay. And I just feel like I'm supposed to share that with you guys. But I'm a little different because I am devoted to God, and like I always have been. For 10 years I have been, in a way most people can't even comprehend, but God knows. And that's why God loves me so much, because I literally like meditate and devote my life to this practice, and it's all in the name of the absolute. And I love Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and I don't want any interference from any other spirit. I don't really feel like we're supposed to disturb the dead, too much or really at all. That's what I've learned. Like when my dad died, I was trying to find his soul, and one of the first things he said to me, even though he was like my best friend in life, he's like, I'm rolling in my grave, like you woke me up. And he kind of said, like, let the dead rest. And I think that's what God's saying too. But the dead will come visit you when they want to. And that's okay. But overly poking into the other realms can invite, things that are not what you want to come through too. So if you just allow your loved ones on the other side to come through when they're called, when they choose to, it's totally safe. So there's always a nice balance, And so some people, they work with the dead, that's their thing. But personally, I don't want to disturb them. I want to let them rest. Unless they just come through naturally, and that does happen. See, I don't even need to look things up because Source tells me directly. Now let's pull some more cards. I appreciate it if you made it this far in the message. Make sure you claim that. Before we move on, Spirit has said this several times, and they just said it again. You may be looking for some kind of long lost lover. Could be, that twin flame energy. All this fire is making me think of this with these princes seeking out their queen or their princess. And, the cards would suggest that you need to take a bold action to just go for it. Maybe chase her down a little bit, win her over. But whoever popped into your mind when this question just kept popping up, that's the person. You know who this person is. So you need to, don't go like crazy, but definitely go for it. Or go crazy if that's what you want to do. You guys are like, nah, play it cool, okay? Alright, someone out here is restoring order to the world. Maybe just their world, or I do see a lot of activity in the mental plane, in the astral. I was having a vision earlier today of someone being like a secretive kind of warrior working through the different astral planes, jumping through streams of consciousness or whatever, and protecting people in kind of a secret way. So they would pull people out of bad dreams, bad astral projections. They were guiding them through that. And they were so quick, and they were so like in and out of the scene, so slick. People didn't even see them. It was like they were a ghost, but they were there. It's like they know you were there, but they don't know. They didn't see you, but they did. And you were just so quick that you're like an invisible, warrior in the astral, protecting people, restoring order in the mind that will obviously manifest into the physical. You're literally in there jumping around like a ninja for God or for the dream keepers. You have access and permission. So people, they don't even see you, but they know you came through, and you're helping people get better rest or have more fun, astral projecting with less fear. And Spirit just wants to acknowledge that, even though you like to be secretive, God sees it and thinks it's beautiful. See, I see someone running around, taking any fragments that were lost in any other dimensions and returning them back to people. and it's filling in any holes in their aura, and that's why they feel so much more peaceful and restful. And sure, people should do this for themselves, but someone here, they're being stealthy, retrieving fragments and pieces for people without even getting a thank you, even though you just got one. But it does seem like the way they're guarding them in their minds is by restoring their aura to its fullest form. No cracks, no breaks. See, you do build order out of nothing, just like you always have. You're like, instead of the gift that keeps on giving, I have this metaphor, or whatever you want to call it, from Spirit in my head to go with this Four of Swords, is that you're like the building that keeps on giving. So say you've built like a structure in your life, like you built the building, and it represents how you built your mind. You've really built your mind up to a masterful place. And what happens when the builder builds the building starts building things. So the building is meant to be used, say it's like an office building. So once it's done, under construction, and it's done, people are going to start working in there to build a business within the building. So the building is now building a business based off of the bricks that you laid and the hard work that you laid. And now it's like becoming lucrative, something like that. And you're basically went from the builder to the building to the boss, in my vision. And this could even be reflective of the mind or the energy body. It doesn't just have to be physical. So Spirit's basically saying you know how to build a business and also run it too. You're like the master of all trades in my vision. So you're advancing in the architecture, the sacred geometry, whatever, that goes on in the many realms. So although before the physical, I talk about a mother and a father coming first and everyone else pulling themselves into being before they became form and took on a body. So not every form is directly reflecting the mother and the father. They are formless. There are many aspects of creation that directly reflect human form. And it's not just like, no, human form is not the same as the real world. The real world is formless and spiritual. And this human existence is just a tiny aspect of what we are. And when I talk about the beginning of creation, like the mother and the father, it's way bigger than this planet. So they are the ones who started pulling and bringing the potential for people to pull themselves into form beyond this world, okay? It's really hard to explain. It's like they energize your potential to pull yourself into form, but they stay formless. And all of us, we take on our own experience as creators. And you're the architect in spiritual, mental, and physical realms. At least you've been the builder for a long time and you're becoming the architect, basically taking control over all of creation and how it moves in your life because you've been promoted to a higher position. It's like you worked your way from the bottom to the top. You built from a spark and then started building details, and you built the whole thing, even if you don't remember it. But you built every bit of it, and you no longer have to be the builder forever. You can become the master architect, the master archetype, where you start making the rules and the plans, and other people can build it. You definitely are getting some kind of promotion in your spiritual rank that I'm seeing. If you can even comprehend what I'm trying to explain here, that goes hand in hand with what you're able to see. More so what you're able to remember. So the mother and the father, in essence, as a force of order and chaos, or like creation and destruction, they can only reflect into all of us. We all reflect that, but they don't incarnate. And everything in existence reflects the play off these two opposites, these two aspects, but they are beyond form. But they still reflect into all of form. We carry aspects of both forces, even beyond just the earth. The whole universe is connected to this. Who exactly were the very first humans is something I haven't pinpointed yet, but when I talk about it, I'm talking in spirit. Human seems to be a fall into matter that happened to much of the universe at once. But it could be natural. Okay, let's pull more cards. So let me break something down since we're talking about the soul. Basically, because the soul animates consciousness, which animates the body, you can't sell the soul, otherwise you would become just a computer. But I think that if someone wanted it bad enough, they could, and they would basically just be animated by the machine or by some kind of demonic entity instead. But usually, the soul is usually safe unless someone goes above and beyond to sacrifice it. You don't need to try to save your soul unless you actually sold your soul. Oftentimes, how the soul actually gets sold is by continuously committing crimes against your own divinity. You know, all that stuff, that evil stuff is crimes against your divinity, crimes against your soul, and that can diminish it until it feels like it's gone. But otherwise, like, you're okay. You don't need to be paranoid. God keeps your soul safe. So it's a good time to persevere through any of those fears, okay? You're not new to this, you're true to this. If you remember sparking yourself in the womb, building in a universe, talking to God since birth, claim it in the comments. I am not new to this, I am true to this. Don't underestimate my authority in the spirit world. That's for all of us original gods and goddesses. Remembering that spark puts you very close to the Father, the Mother, and the Source, and that makes you on goddess god levels in my eyes. And remember, all these higher forces, even the quantum computer of the universe, is conspiring to calculate the best outcomes for your life and send them to you. That's what it does. That's what God does. That's what the mother does by holding all her sparks within that womb. You're not just sent off alone. You're being held every step of the way. And order is restored every step of the way. It's designed to do that. Make sure you're allowing that in and inviting it in. What you really want, and don't invite in anything you don't want. I know it seems a little ridiculous, but if you cut off any kind of demonic negative influences, you're going to feel clear as can be, clear as a crystal, and that's going to feel beautiful. That's how I feel when I really don't allow myself to intake anything that I feel is really negative. And it's not because I can't handle it, it's because I'm creating consciously. I've gotten to this place where I'm so beyond the physical. Like, I can take care of the physical, okay. I do my best, but I'm way beyond the physical world. And I've been celibate for 6 years. And so, you know, when I talk about sexual healing, like we talked about earlier, some of you guys are healing those kind of spectral wounds that people have. You're like reconnecting them to source through your healing and your passion for spirit and healing. And I don't personally need that to be happy, but I would never hate on somebody who does or who uses it to their advantage. It's just not necessary in every situation. Like when you meditate 10 hours a day, you know what I mean? You kind of forget about the pleasures of the flesh, at least I have. But some of you, like your healing, it's not just getting laid. It's like opening people to their true selves in a lot of ways. You know, there's always room for everyone to have their different beliefs and their different truths. It doesn't make one person right and another person wrong. You know, there's room, Spirit says, for everyone to be right within their own perspective, their own stream of consciousness, and many truths can exist at the same time without feeling like threatened by other people's truth, but they can all thrive together. So you're definitely cheering people on to be like totally raw in who they really are and not be ashamed of it. That's really beautiful. You know, when everyone else has told them to stop expressing themselves, stop thinking, stop being themselves, you've given them space to be themselves and feel like that's okay. And it helps people heal trauma. It helps them heal a lot of different things just by you being welcoming and accepting of them as they are for who they are. And I still believe, like I've always said, let people tell you who they are. You could be masculine and feminine and still be super into expressing femininity, but I'm not going to be limited. You know that song, like, I am masculine, I am feminine, I am anything I want. Truly, you can be anything you want without having to be put in a category or labeled. And it's going to be weird if anyone ever tries to tell you that you have to be something that you're not. So, if you're anything like me, you have no limits, but you're not confused at all about your expression. And you don't need someone else really to tell you who you are. Anyways, cut out the clutter and the negativity, and that will, you know, also clear your aura of any nightmare energy. All the energy you intake all throughout your day is going to affect your sleep. And I know it seems silly, but try to align with things that are of a high frequency, and you'll be feeling good all the time. At least most of the time. Now, don't think I'm saying bury your head in the sand. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know, if you do come out of your bliss, make sure that you're intaking nothing but the truth. And don't make space for lies. They cannot live on. If you're anything like me, any energy that's not pure and clean is not going to get access. Now remember who the heck you are. Anytime you let yourself feel weak, reintroduce yourself, reinitiate yourself, because by now you're supposed to be initiating others. So don't forget what you know, because you know everything the Akashic Records could ever know, you can access. And that includes how to clear your aura, any energy weapons coming near you, how to stay in a clear space. It honestly just takes scanning your body every day. Okay, if you want to feel clear, you got to do the work, and the energy work really does work. And every day when you go to bed, on top of talking to God, scan your aura, scan your body, pull out very slowly and visualize draining out any blockages and things like that. Do it all the time and you will feel really good. And visualize that your aura is huge and bright and as big as the whole room, and Nothing else can come near it or consume it. See, when you spark a form, that's the beginning of your soul, but your potential has always existed eternally. It just had to be realized, and that's when you came into being. What you did when you pulled order out of chaos is you stabilized the chaos. So you stabilized the vibration on a high frequency. And anytime you feel out of alignment, that's all you got to do is stabilize your frequency and your vibration on a high frequency. That will naturally attract things that align. It can't do anything but attract things that align when you are in alignment. So there's so many ways to break it down, but I also consider ordering chaos to be frequency and vibration. It's however you want to look at it, okay? And this is just my religion. It's only the tiniest piece. So take it as it resonates. You don't have to take it if it doesn't resonate. But I feel drawn to share it. This is part of my theory of everything, and it continues to evolve. I will never get stuck. But when you get really close to your spark, you get really close to the God form as well, because your spark is your highest purpose. That's purpose is what gave you the drive to pull yourself out of chaos. So to align to that will align you to your God or goddess purpose. If you fulfill it, you can embody it. So your soul self is who you truly are. And consciousness is something we're all using to better understand and comprehend our soul self, which is connected to the spiritual essence and the source. Consciousness is shared to an extent, but the soul is not. The soul is always just for you. Can't be replicated. So you definitely established, attracted a connection, embodied a connection, putting you on your most abundant timeline. If you're not, start doing it. Start weaving it and claiming it. So that connection should feel more and more secure as long as you keep building it, embodying it. I mean, I think you guys are beyond building it and you're jumping into it like you did in the beginning. And something feels very secure about your position in this creation and your connection to the quantum. You've secured the channel through the energy work you do every day. It doesn't just happen. You have to do some kind of action to establish these connections every day and keep them clear. But I think y'all do that. And if you don't do it, take my word that it's worth it. So you've completed a cycle to feel more secure, your connection with yourself and connections with others, and knowing how to get rid of anyone who's just trying to bring you down and slow you down and stand in your way, okay? So you're embracing divine connections on so many levels because you know yourself and you're secure with that. You may be starting a new partnership or a new partnership with yourself, or understanding the purpose of duality and contrast and how we use that to build. And basically, like, you're at a crossroads where you're becoming your own best friend, you're partnering up with the source, higher forces in general, and they want to work with you. They think you're great to work with. Higher forces are cooperating with you. They just want you to give the signal and they're ready to work through you if that's what you want. And basically, one cycle has ended, one chapter has ended, new connections are beginning, and, you know, I really think the connection is something where you're deepening even more into yourself, like you thought you knew yourself, but there is so much more that the archive wants to show you. So dive into your own archives when you're astral projecting. And you can see your whole story. And God will tell you, so listen. Make sure you know that voice. It's clear, it's calm. It's the still small voice, right? And don't listen to any voices that try to tear you down, because that's not God and that's not for you. All right, I'm going to leave this message as it is. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. If you have enjoyed this message and you feel inspired to donate, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I will leave the link in the description. Take care, everyone.